Missed an episode of your favorite podcast? Choose from over a decade of content in our archives, not just the latest episode. All free at GCNlive.com.
This is your call to action. Get prepared, America. Economy, survival, energy, disasters. This is USAPrepares.com. Informative radio, educational radio. Interact now by emailing instructor@USAPrepares.com or text at 434-390-7953. Class, please take your seats. Now, your instructor, Vincent Finelli.
Everyone all set? Cocked? Locked? Here we go. Your dial is set correctly to USA Prepares. Thank you for being in class with us today. Special broadcast today. Mike and I are delighted you're here. Brad and John are engineering the broadcast at GCN. I'm Vincent Finelli. Mike Ma's with us. Welcome, Mike.
Well, good morning, Vincent. I'm ready.
Mike, I was telling John and Brad a little bit about you, our engineers, just before the broadcast started. And, I said, I'm looking at my wrist, and I still have a scar on my wrist from where you shot me. And they thought, we were kidding. I said, no, no. It's a nice remembrance of some time that we spent together. I can always look down at if I had a watch, it'd probably cover it, but I don't wear a watch, so I can see it all the time. So, Mike, very quickly, you're going to Asia, and you're going to Thailand, right?
Yes, next month.
Mm-hmm. And
got a one-way ticket.
One-way ticket. Yep. So you don't know if you're coming back? You might like it?
No, I will be back. When I'm needed, I'll be back. But I don't know where I'm going. I got to cross the ocean first, and I'll start there.
I don't know anyone else who would have the intestinal fortitude to do that. Just hop on a plane, land, and then say, okay, I think I'm going to go that way.
It's almost like that when it starts. You go into shock. It's a strange environment. It's a cultural shock you go through, and each country you don't really know what's going on, and it'll take maybe 2 days or 3 days to get over it.
Mm-hmm. And how do you think this is going to go for the first 2 hours? Not speaking the language. Are you going to ask people for directions, or are you going to have a map, or are you going to have some kind of prearranged thoughts about how you're going to handle this, or are you just going to wing the whole thing?
No. Before I go, I'll figure out a hotel, and when I get there, first thing I do is go to the hotel, and I start walking. And I just walk, I go 1 block completely around, then 2 blocks completely around, and then 3, and it just goes like that. And then I'll do it all day long. Come evening, normally at the first part of darkness, I'm still out there, but after that, I'm usually kind of tired, and I'll come on in and let everybody know I'm still alive, and then get some rest, ready for the next day.
Okay, and then day 2, what's the plan?
I should be learning something as I go around, and seeing what's available to me in that area in the way of taxis, food. Food's probably the hardest thing that I got to do. You don't want to get sick, so you have to find out what kind of foods there are around you, and so work on that. And then I say I don't really do tours and stuff like that. Normally, I try to find somebody in the way of a taxi that I can hire and just have him drive me all around. And I try to find somebody who can speak English, so then I can ask questions, and I'll feed him, lunch or supper or whatever, so I learn how to eat, learn some of the customs and this type of stuff. I wish there was, now see, I'm a travel companion. People hire me to go to places, weird places like I'm going to. And I wish there was a market for it. And, well, I can't find it anyway. When I come to these countries, somebody as a tour guide that could hold me by the hand and teach me all this stuff. But I haven't found maybe there is a service, but either I'm too stingy to pay or, like I say, they don't do what I want to do. They want to take me, like Thailand, they'll want to take me to temples and spas and this type of stuff, and that's what most people go there for. But I'm not. I'm going to learn. I want to learn things. I want to learn about the people, the culture. I've got to learn about the money. There's a lot of things you have to learn when you go into these places. And then those first couple 2 or 3 days, I'm also looking for an apartment because I'll be staying there a month, at least a month. So I'll get an apartment by the month, and then that'll give me time to think if I want to stay there another month or start figuring about going to another country.
Okay. And what other country might you go to?
I wanted to go. I went to Thailand. I was in China last year, and then you had to leave every I think it was 60 days in China. And so I went to Thailand, but I just went there less than a week. And same thing, I was in total shock the whole time, and because I was still trying to recover from shock from China. And that's why I decided to go back to Thailand this time. But when I was there, I didn't go. It's not called Burma anymore. I forgot what they call it now, but I remember Burma as a kid. And I want to go over there. I'll probably just cross the border. It's still a little shaky over there. And but anyway, I want to kind of just cross the border and see what kind of. Normally, you can see a cultural difference just crossing the border. In that next town, on the border town, you'll see a difference in culture right there. And then I'll just kind of play it by ear by there. But no plans on going to Vietnam. Vietnam, you have to get a visa ahead of time. Normally, I don't go to countries that you have to get a visa ahead of time. I just go to countries because I'm stumbling into these countries. And that's what happened to Thailand. I went in there and I saw all the requirements and all the paperwork, and then I said, where do I get another ticket? And then they said, well, you're an American, aren't you? And they go, yeah. And they said, here, just sign here. And then I just signed the paper, and I can go into the country. So some countries are easy to go into. Some are very difficult. So just play it by ear, or at least I do. I don't do the research. Not like I should.
Mike, I believe the name of the country you're talking about is Myanmar, Myanmar.
Yes,
right?
That's the one. Yeah,
mm-hmm. Yeah, and we used to know it back in the 60s as China, Burma, and India, that area, CBI. Okay, so what would you like to talk about today? I got your one-line email that said, God with a capital G, we the people with capital letters, and the Constitution with a capital letter.
Yeah.
Some people don't spell God with a capital G. I do.
Yeah. People, especially our kind of people, we're preppers, and of some sort. Remember the first time I met you, I told you I don't know if I am a prepper because I don't have nothing. Remember when I got a hold of you the first time? I wasn't sure if you wanted somebody like me, because I don't have nothing, so. And, but anyway, and preppers are not one person, and we all don't follow in line. They all have their own needs, their own desires. But what separates us is, like I say, the United States, because I don't find preppers outside the United States. I don't find them. They do not prepare for anything. They go day to day. I mean, I thought paycheck to paycheck was bad. Most countries, they go day to day. And But and so I tried to explain why Americans are unique to any other type of people in the world. And what I've come to understand, and it explains it pretty well, is God in the United States. God is number one. In other words, we have God-given rights, unalienable rights, and that's given from God. That's the first thing. You have to recognize that, and then once you recognize that, then you understand we the people, the American people. That's what makes the United States the United States. And the Constitution separates or controls the government that the people want. And the Constitution isn't to control we the people, it's to control the government. And then once you understand that, it opens so many doors of opportunity. And a good example would be, like I say, the British. They are subjects. They're subjects of the state. The state awards them privileges, rights, and stuff like that. In the United States, we all have it. Now, we may give it up either through our behavior, in which we break laws, or we just decide we just want to step in line and follow everybody else. But like I say, preppers aren't those type of people. They think for themselves. They look to improve their lives one way or the other. And this is really what separates the Americans from everybody else. And it was hard for me to figure this out because I look around, I see people with more money than me, they travel more than me, they have a whole lot more than me, but I've got freedom. I've got liberty. All my desires, I can reach any desire I have. And a lot of them can too, because of their financial or, they're in they have their health and stuff like that. But like I say, there was still something that made a difference. And that's when I figured that out is I don't respond well to authority. And that's why my God is my authority. And people have to understand that in the United States.
Mike, we're going into a break, and you and I will be right back for another hour and 40 minutes right after these few short commercial announcements. Mike Ma, NoStressMike.com. Mike Ma's with us. Mike, in the 1980s, my mom traveled to the United Kingdom, and when she came back, she said she found this very interesting. She said that many of the homes in the United Kingdom did not have refrigeration, meaning refrigerators, freezers, that we see everywhere in almost every home in the United States. And she said what would happen is, if, you would go to the market once a day and buy what you needed for that day. You'd buy bread and fruit and meats and so forth. And because there was no refrigeration, it was difficult to store for longer periods of time the things that we find customary in our refrigerators in the United States. So what she found back in 1980, and I know that was quite some time ago, but she found exactly what you're saying. People live day to day, and that's part of their culture and their lifestyle. And Mrs. Finelli and I were watching a television series called Escape to the Continent, meaning leave England and go someplace else where the grass is allegedly greener. And what we saw in these videos, it was almost like a real estate sales tour of here's some homes that are for sale. Guess how much they cost. Here are the features. And what we saw in home after home after home after home, very small refrigeration, almost no air conditioning systems, things that we take for granted as almost necessities here in the United States. So there is a different lifestyle. People are probably less stressed, but yet they don't prepare the way we do, because we know that with the technology that we have, things can go wrong. And when they do, it can be catastrophic. Because if you don't have a refrigerator, you don't have a refrigerator electric bill, you don't have a refrigerator repair bill, and you don't have to buy new refrigerators and washers and dryers and dishwashers and on and on and on, right? Do you think that's part of it?
Oh, yes. That's why the cost is so much less living in these places. Most of them are in either mud brick or concrete bricks. So, how much maintenance is on these places, and, no insurance. Most of the time their running water is a tank up on the roof that fills up through the day, and it's got like a toilet. It kind of shuts off like that, and you use that water pressure is what you have. You don't even have hot water, So because of the climate, they don't really have it, and also when you don't have any pressure. So, all you have is the gravity pressure. So it's hard to get workable heaters to work like that. But like I say, that's what they say. The further north, the more prepared they are. And I say that could be here on this continent. Like I say, China, other than Vietnam, but when I went to China last year, now they're I don't remember, it's longitude or latitude, whatever it is, it's equal to the United States. And their weather is close to the United States over there. And but they don't have that attitude. And that's because the state is number one. The state takes care of them. No matter what happens, the state will take care of you. So there's no reason to prepare. And like I say, air conditioning, I don't remember any air conditioning. I'm sure there was in the higher class places. Heaters, there really wasn't. They use space heaters more than anything. And like when I was living in Guatemala, you dress in, that's up in the mountains, so it's cool. And you just wear more clothes, and that's what they do in China. Everybody wore more clothes all the time. So there's a big difference between the lifestyle in the United States and other places, and that's why one of the reasons why it's more expensive here. And so you'll notice that also the pay as you get down like Florida and Texas, where it's warm, the pay isn't as good. They for the starting jobs, they don't make so much down south.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we're going to be right back after a few short commercial announcements. What are we going to talk about next, Mike? Or are we going to continue this?
The morals. We need to talk about morals. Okay. Very important.
Okay. Mike Ma, Marine, combat soldier. We'll be right back. Class Mike Ma's with us. NoStressMike.com. NoStressMike.com. And class, if you're thinking about latitude and longitude, think of a belt going around your waist, okay? That would be latitude. And if you want to think about longitude, that would be from the top to the bottom. So from the north to the south is longitude, and from the west to the east would be latitude. Okay. Mike, morals.
I can understand that. You explained it very well.
Yeah, well, how long are you? Okay, meaning how tall are you? That would be longitude. Okay, and the latitude would be you've got a belt around your middle, and that would be the latitude. Okay.
Yep.
So morals, and you're really big on morals. I mean, really big. That's really high on your list.
Yes, and but I never realized how much it had to do with self-defense. And the thing is, and we're right back to the God when we first started. And the thing is, God gave us, my God, I don't know what other people believe, but my God gave me the right to defend myself. And when things happen, it's not a right, it's an obligation to defend myself. And I never thought so much about it. And then I was talking to someone, and he was asking me, because when I used to drive down in Central America and Mexico, and I'd drive back and forth, the whole length. And I had people ask me, well, because, I don't really shy away from danger or violence. I don't run away, so I'm not into that. And so how do I know when I'm supposed to stand and when do you run? Okay, well, the first thing is I don't run. Okay, so if I don't run, I have to figure out what kind of situation I'm in. And I'm stopped by police, military, bandits, and rebels. These are the people that stop me as I'm traveling. And I've got a kind of a policy that I do that I don't give money. So in other words, if you're going to rob me, I hope you're looking for something other than money, because I'm not going to give you any money. And so what happens when they stop me, they have these checkpoints everywhere. And then I stop, and then I don't speak the language. That's another thing I learned, is the body language is a big thing. Over half of the communications is done by body language. But I'll stop, and when they stop me, because I don't know why they're stopping me or anything, and I ask them, why are you stopping me? And then they will start telling me, and, most of the time I just get my papers out, and they don't really want to see my papers, but, I don't know what they're saying. And so if it's going to be a robbery of some type, eventually they're going to have to ask for money, eventually. And, okay, now it changes. Now, I don't care if you're a policeman, military, or what you are. When you're asking for money, now the next question is, okay, is this a toll road, or what's the reasoning for the money? And then that will tell me if this person they're not a policeman, they're not a military. If they're robbing me, they're a criminal. Okay, I've got that obligation to defend myself. And so now I know where you stand. You are a criminal. And normally what I do when I'm in the car, I carry my money a certain way, and I'll pull my money out, and then I'll drop it. And it drops between the car door and the seat, down into underneath the seat. And so, of course, I can't get to it, so I open the door, and as I step out holding a tomahawk. And then now you got to remember, everybody around me's got guns. So, I'm at the big disadvantage. Not really. I've got the advantage. I am morally correct. They are immoral, and they're criminals. Now, their next step is, we know they're robbers because they want money. Now, are they a murderer? Or do they murder people? And normally when we get to that point when I'm out, standing there with a tomahawk, and now I'm not that foreign guy that doesn't understand what's going on, I'm confused and all that kind of stuff. That's in the past now. Now I'm out of the car, I'm holding a tomahawk, and I got my war face on. And now they have to make a decision. Who wants to come get the money? And normally everybody just backs off, and then they tell me to go on. And so that's where morals is a very, very big thing. And I had the moral high ground, and they knew it. And so that's really what makes a big difference in surviving when you're traveling like that. But when you're on the road, you are a mark for everybody. One of the problems I had was rebels. I didn't know it, but this was probably in the mid-'90s. I got stopped in southern Mexico, and they were rebels. Nobody told me Mexico had a revolution going on. And so it was kind of shocked me, and I wasn't sure what I was supposed to do. I'm not going to give you money, but and they didn't say, give me your money. They said that they were taking donations. When they found out I didn't speak Spanish, they got somebody who could speak English, and he explained that they're rebels and they would appreciate if they had some money, because fighting a war takes money. And I did. I gave them money. So there's exceptions to all rules. Now, like I say, I don't give money, but what I will do, when people see me before I go to Sam's or Costco, something like that, and I get a whole lot of beef jerky and crackers, peanut butter and crackers, the little packages, and I get a lot of that stuff. And then when they're stop me to rob me, then I just act like, I know you want something, here, take this beef jerky. And what happens, and I'm doing this with a smile, I'm just enjoying myself. And when they take that, that's the end of the deal. In other words, they take that instead of money. So we bypass a lot of this stuff. But when they say they don't want it, well, then that's I don't understand. And then, in other words, I'm making them say that they are criminals. And when they say that weakens their stance. And I say that makes me stronger. So that's my beliefs. And I stand by my beliefs to my death or your death. So, and it comes across like that. Even though I'm at the disadvantage, it's not worth it to them, to do anything. And like I say, the reality is they're not going to shoot you right there in the road. Can you imagine if you're driving up and you see blood all over the road, that's going to put up a whole other set of problems. So they don't. That's why you worry. Normally you don't get out of the car. And in some countries, it's illegal for you to get out of the car. They don't want you out of the car. And the reason is when they get you out of the car, they're going to take you off the road and kill you off in the jungle there somewhere where there's no blood on the road. And so they legally, they cannot take you out. And a lot of times they'll have police and military together. I mean, the police might be doing the stopping, but you'll see their perimeter security is military people. And so that's usually a sign that it is a legitimate checkpoint. And because, like I say, they don't trust the police, they don't trust the military. So when they put them together, neither one of them trust each other. And so it's hard for them to take bribes and stuff like that. So, but anyway, there's a reason why the morals is a big thing. And contrary, now I believe different than most people. They believe, after it hits the fan, people are going to go crazy and go run around and do all this kind of crazy stuff. Personally, I don't believe so. Okay, like you see the looting that's going on when all this stuff goes on wherever. These looters, do you really believe these looters loot for by accident? You know what I mean? They're criminals. Their mindset is criminals. Good people aren't going to go looting. I mean, I wouldn't. I'm taking it for granted. Most people are like me. So it's just they're more opportunists than they are good citizens. And I say, so they're going to say, well, for my survival, I need this TV. It doesn't work like that. So they're not looting to survive. That's not the point. They're criminals. They're easy criminals. They're even lazier than the other criminals. They won't even pull a gun on you or a knife or anything. They're just an opportunist. They find a chance that they can steal. And that's why I say I don't believe in general there's going to be people running around crazy. I've been to countries. I've seen people that are starving. And these people that are starving are not attacking me to take this beef jerky and crackers that I have. They're not doing that. That's because they're good people. They're not criminals. And it's funny because even the criminals don't even take the beef jerky and the crackers. They want the money. That's because they're a criminal. But a looter is just a different type of looter. So, but how do you feel on that? Am I in the ballpark?
I've got a comment, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a comment, and I believe you're exactly right, and I'll tell you why. Back in the early 1990s, I was a consultant to design an automation system for the city of Fayetteville, North Carolina. And I'll tell you a little bit about what happened and how it is exactly what you're talking about and how what you said absolutely works. We're going into a commercial break. I need a little bit more time than 8 seconds. So we'll discuss that when we come back. Mike Ma, no stress, Mike.com. So, Mike, in the early 1990s, I was hired to design a computer system to automate the city government, first city in North Carolina. And I would leave the farm in Virginia, drive to North Carolina in my truck, and for 2 or 3 days a week, I would work there. So for lunch, I would go to a delicatessen and drive my truck over there and buy a sandwich and eat it in my truck. Then I'd go back to work at City Hall. Well, one day, this man came up to the side of my truck and he was banging on my window. And he said he was hungry and he demanded money. So I was confused. I said, "You're hungry?" And he said, "Yeah, I'm hungry." I said, "Well, great. Here's half of my turkey sandwich." He was so...
Here's a 45 to help it go down.
He was so angry that he stomped off, and he didn't take the sandwich. Mm-hmm. So what you're saying is exactly right. What they say and what they mean are two different things. So, that was way before I met you. So, yeah.
And you see, it changed it from helping this guy to it's a robbery.
That's right.
Now, if you're not going along with it, well, he's at a different level as a robbery, intimidation and this type of stuff. But if that doesn't work, he wasn't ready to go to the next level.
Right.
So that's why I moved to the extreme level. Right when I figure out the situation, I just go right to the end and say, okay, I know where this is going to end up, so let's just start it right now. And then normally that shocks them, and they're not ready to go. Like I said, they weren't ready to just shoot me, even though they had the advantage. That wasn't part of the plan. Well, so they had to change their plans. And that's been working for me. But like I say, I'm one of these, well, the way I look at it, if they're really true murderers, they're going to kill you and they're going to take it anyway. So that's the way I look at it.
So we're right back to morals. And, class, seriously, as you listen to these stories that Mike and I are sharing with you, think about situational awareness. What would you do that would make it better if that happened next time? And plant that in your mind so that you're ready. Now, what would have made it better for me? Well, if my truck were in a position where I could drive forward, I would have been better off had I started my engine and put the car in gear and it was an automatic transmission, happened to be an El Camino back then. I could have, put it in drive, had 1 foot on the brake, and 1 foot ready to stomp on the gas. I mean, that might have been better if it got worse, if it escalated, okay? If I couldn't go forward, maybe start the engine and put it in reverse and have one eye in the rearview mirror, one eye kind of looking peripherally at this guy, and being ready to back up and, get out of the way. So there are things that you can do to make it better. And when you're in traffic, okay, and this is just a little tip, when you're in traffic, and there's a stoplight ahead, don't pull right up on the guy's bumper that's in front of you. Leave yourself enough room that if you see something bad that's going to happen to your side, let's say the driver's side, and you need to pull off to the right, you've got enough room to turn that steering wheel quickly, jump on the gas pedal, and get out of the way. Okay? Make sure you have enough room.
Would this be a good time to talk about when I got mugged by the 2 prostitutes in Mexico?
Yeah. As soon as we come back from this break, because I don't think you can do it in 35 seconds, can you?
No, I can't. They could, but I can't.
Yeah. All right, so when we come back, Mike Ma is going to tell us about getting mugged by 2 prostitutes in Mexico. NoStressMike.com. And you might think that, where's he get the no stress from? Because it seems like there's a lot of potential stress in his life. Everyone all set? Cocked, locked, Mike Ma. This is part 3 in a series with NoStressMike.com. Mike Ma. Mike, you were in Mexico and you were mugged by 2 prostitutes? That's pretty unusual, right?
Yes, and it was expected, but how does this happen to me? This kind of stuff doesn't happen to me. So so I had that type of mentality. But for years, I've never taken pictures. And the places I go, if you take pictures, they'll kill you. So I got in the habit of not taking pictures. Now, within the last maybe 5, 7, 8 years, I started taking pictures. And because now everybody's got cell phones, the places I go, everybody's got cell phones and everybody's taking pictures, and so now it's not that big a deal. But still, video making is something, and I don't know the difference, but some people don't like the video making. Pictures are okay, video's not. But I was with a friend, and she said if I'd go with her, because she had to go in central Puebla, Mexico, and she had to make a delivery there. And a month ago, somebody jerked her gold chain from her neck and ran off. And so she'd feel better if I'd go with her. And I thought, hey, I'm all macho, I'll go. And so I was sitting there with her, and I make a lot of mistakes. One mistake, I normally drive. And the reason I drive is exactly what you talked about before we went on the break. I leave that space. And I'm not bashful about running over people. So, a woman, they're more sensitive, and a whole lot more sensitive than I am. And when I get scared, I tend to do what I got to do. So, but she was driving, and so it was bumper to bumper, and you could walk faster than the traffic could go, one lane. And I started making this video, and I'm explaining in the video that I don't normally do this stuff. This place is known to be a bad part of town, and I don't even come to these places. And so we're going here, and I'm explaining, all the bad parts or the bad things that I'm getting myself into. And I had my window down, and I knew better than to stick my camera out of the window and make a video, or stick your camera out and take a picture. So it was inside. I had it inside. I was in the passenger seat, and I'm just showing what's in front of me. But my window's down, and there's a reason why I have my window down and I don't wear a seatbelt. And we're not going to get into that, but there's a reason for it. And so anyway, I'm taking this video, and then I have both hands on the camera, and then and I'm watching the mirror to make sure I can see somebody coming up behind me, and then I'm always aware of my surroundings. And so my flanks, I'm okay. And then, bam, all of a sudden, my camera got knocked out of my hand. And I turned, and I leaned inwards because I knew better than to lean outwards. So I leaned inwards, and I looked up there, and it was two women. And, I thought, well, they tried to grab my camera, to steal the camera. I couldn't figure out what was going on. And we started talking. I was talking to and we just kept going, and those women went away. And then we kept talking, and what it was, I believe, you see the video, the first part of the video, you can see I filmed them. They were prostitutes standing there on the side of the road. But it was, the sidewalks were crowded. Everything was crowded. I mean, you got to know what you're looking for if you're going to find them. So, but anyway, that's what they were mad about, that I took their picture. And so that's what they were trying to do. But at the time, I didn't think too much about it. And, but I thought, well, they tried to, steal my camera. But, afterwards, I mean, we're talking afterwards, like maybe 10, 15 seconds, I was thinking, I'm lucky that that's what happened, because it was easy enough that they could have hurt me. And I'm not going to explain how that could happen, but like I say, this isn't a new thing for them, because there's a blind spot when you're looking in the mirror and your peripheral vision, or what you can turn your eyes to see. And they were in that blind spot as they approached the car and did their thing. And so, but like I say, it was strange. I mean, like I say, I really wasn't so much scared, but I was really more confused and thinking it could have been a whole lot worse. And I was paying attention. I knew what was going on, and it still happened. It was amazing. It was a grow-up thing for me. So, you do that stuff? No, I don't. I don't. I don't have a cell phone, and I don't normally carry a camera with me. But, with the things that are going on with the police today, there's a new app called Police for smartphones. And what happens is you just tell Siri, if you have an Apple phone, that you're being pulled over, and your smartphone will start recording and the audio and the video until you tell it to stop, and it will send a contact to someone that you're being pulled over and stopped, and your location, and the video will be uploaded to Dropbox. So the entire encounter can be recorded, audio, video, stored, saved, uploaded, and your location transmitted to, a close friend, contact type person. I think that's pretty cool, and I think that's what's needed. Yeah. Now, I don't have a smartphone. I don't plan on having one, but if I did, I would have that app, and I would have a holder for my smartphone in my car that's aimed at the window where the guys in the costumes, approach. I would have it aimed right there. I would do that. Mm-hmm. That's a good idea. Good idea. I say, and I think a lot of it is I'm old, and I know more than what they know. And so I don't have problems with them anymore. Since when they tried to kidnap my dog, Xena, that was the last time, and didn't do them any good. So, like I say, I get a lot of practice on dealing with them.
You're talking about the guys in costumes?
Yes.
Yeah.
And like I say, they're not. Now, see, the problem I have is they're law enforcement. Now, I'm a police kind of guy. I love police and policing. Policing is that protect and serve kind of thing. That's what policing is. Mm-hmm. Law enforcement is kind of like a revenue, kind of like paying a toll for, here, we got you, now pay. This type of stuff, and how they can make it go on. And like I said, through time, I've learned how to cut it all off. So, and then you're right back to the morals is a good thing too. You need to get them, because when they blindly follow, they're not using their morals. And this is what you need to find out. Like I say, immoral law and an unconstitutional law is, to me, is not a law. Now I understand you think you're the one with the authority, but are you able to back this up? Because I'm going to resist in some way or another. But normally, it's like I say, because of my age, I right back to the body language, I can normally get my way through it. And I expect, and when I say this stuff, I try to make sure the rest of the guys in costume understand that they're not doing moral and constitutional laws. And that puts me at the advantage again, and it puts them at the disadvantage. So, but like I say, it takes practice, and you got to, there's like good morals. You have to stand behind the results of what you do. Maybe you've practiced it incorrectly, and like I say, just for me, just give me the ticket and we go on, because I haven't done anything criminal or immoral. That's what criminal would be, immoral. So anything that I do is just a ticket, and I understand you're a revenue machine. You're just out to make money. It has nothing to do with serve and protect. So, but I say I don't put up with it, but I am not belligerent, and I don't know. I don't like the camera thing, using the camera, because I know how to negotiate. So we can negotiate something. Normally we can, but if it's just a ticket, I'll take the ticket. No big deal. But if it's anything other than the ticket, we can negotiate it one way or the other. But,
Mike, when I was flying, this was many years ago. I don't fly anymore. I don't want to fly anymore. I was approached by TSA at the airport, and they told me to go through that machine, that X-ray machine, and I was very confused. And I asked them, was it X-rays? And I told them I was really terrified of X-rays, and they're looking at me like I'm quite retarded, and I was very confused, and they didn't understand. And I told them I couldn't do it. So they told me that they were going to search me. And I said that would be okay. And they asked me to take my shoes off. Now, my shoes are combat boots. They're Vietnam-era combat boots. They got a lot of laces, and they're made out of black leather. And that's typically what I wear. And so I sat down in the middle of the floor taking my boots off. And it takes me a long time. I mean, it's a lot of laces. And the more they were trying to push me, the longer it took me to take my boots off, the more people were, the line was getting longer, the more impatient people were getting, the more angry TSA was getting at me, the more angry they got at me, the more difficult it was for me to unlace my shoes. Can we talk about that when we come back? So I was sitting on the airport floor, Mike, and the TSA agents were around me, and they wanted me to hurry up, and every time they said something to me, I had to stop untying my shoes to look up to find out what they were trying to say, and I had to understand what they were trying to say. And then they'd want me to untie my shoes faster. Then I would start untying my shoes, and they would say something because it was taking me longer, and I'd have to look up again and stop, and it made everything worse. And what I was doing, Mike, I was literally teaching a class sitting on the floor in the airport, and watching this whole thing was one of our instructors. And he was having, a good time just watching my movements, my actions, my confusion. And I know that's what you do. I know that's exactly what you do.
Well, I don't, if I was waiting, because I don't use my fungus socks. I don't use those anymore. I used to go through all that, and then, like I say, eventually I'd get my boots off, and I would stand there holding my boots, and everybody's, well, come on, let's go, come on. And then I apologized to everybody, not for delay. I apologize for the holes in my socks because the fungus on my feet are so bad that I thought, well, maybe by airing it out, it might be even better. And then what I would do is go into their machine, and then I'd back out because I don't want to get x-rayed and all that other stuff. And then I'd go over to the other side with a metal detector, and we'd go through that. And then we did the same thing. You know, they go on and pat me down and all that. But by then, I've already contaminated the whole area. And it really upsets everyone. But I don't do that anymore. I'm much more thoughtful to everybody. So now I start, but I don't understand. Well, the thing is, I don't wear the boots anymore because the places I go, it's just too much trouble to have the boots. Now, and also, now, it used to be my feet were too big for these places I go, but the population of the world is getting bigger. So I have access to, I can buy boots wherever I go. So that's no big deal. But now what I'm doing is I'm going through my because they want, put your electronics in a separate tub. And I carry, my tablet. Now I don't carry a laptop anymore. But I got my tablet and between 3 and 5 telephones I take with me. And I put them in separate tubs, and I cover them with different stuff. So, the more they keep looking in my stuff, the more, and I just slow down the whole system and, just irritate everybody. And besides the electronic stuff, I carry stuff that most people don't carry. And I'm a good learning event for the guy that's X-raying all the packages, and because of all the weird stuff they see in my stuff, and so that still becomes a problem. But I say, and I haven't changed the gloves before they touch me because I don't know where your gloves have been, and so then that slows down the process. And then they have to go through my bags, and same thing, you need to change your gloves before you touch my bags. And so everything is slowed down the system. But like I say, I normally have a lot of time between flights, so no big deal. And I know it's going to take time, so I come early. They've already ruined my day by making me come, 2 and 3 hours early. So, they haven't made things pleasant for me, so why should I make things pleasant for them?
Mike, one of the things that I did in TSA is after I got my boots off, they'd have me stand up, and they'd tell me they want to, search me. And I would start, the minute I stood up, I would start kind of dancing like a fourth grader who has to, use the men's room or the boys' room. I'd kind of dance around a little bit, like I'm really uncomfortable. And they would tell me that they'd have to pat me down. Then I'd tell them that, we're going to have to go quickly because if we don't, we're both going to get soaked. Mike, I think it's our duty to gum up the works. I really think it is, because this is all an invasion of our privacy. We'll be right back. Mike Ma, NoStressMike.com. So, class, the things that Mike Ma and I are talking about, if you decide that you're going to try some of them, you've got to have plenty of time, because TSA and everybody in the system is expecting that you're in a hurry. So if you're in a hurry, don't do any of these things because you might miss your flight. But if you're like Mike and me and you arrive early and you've got plenty of time, you can do it. And it works. Mike, you talked about changing gloves. I'm talking about those blue gloves that those TSA people wear. Well, you make them change their gloves, and I do too. And I want to share a quick story with you. So I was traveling, and so TSA was going to inspect me. And the guy had the gloves on. And I was selected for a special kind of interrogation. And they were going to swap.
Cavity search?
Well, not quite. not quite. One step, nicer than that. And what they were going to do is check me for explosive residue. And so the guy had his gloves on, and he said, okay, I'm going to wipe this around your collar. And I said, wait, hold it. Wait, whoa. Are those fresh gloves? He said, no, I had them on. I said, well, would you mind changing your gloves for me? Because I don't know where those gloves have been. I don't know. And I don't feel comfortable with you having those gloves on. So would you change them? And I said, before you do that, you said you were going to test me for explosive residue. Can you show me how that would work? Do you test the gloves? And I'm paraphrasing because this was years and years ago. I'm going by memory, so it might not be exactly right, but it's close. So I asked him to test the gloves in this machine. So what they do is they wipe this like a cotton pad or a plastic synthetic cotton-like pad around your collar, by your neck, your sleeves, and then they put this cotton pad into a machine that detects gunpowder residue or explosive residue, and then the alarm goes off. So I asked him to test the gloves. I said, I'd like to, see how this works. So he puts his gloves that he has not touched me with yet in the machine, and the alarm goes off. Everybody's now looking, right? Because the alarm went off. Because now it looks like I'm a terrorist. I said, oh my, what's all, is that because of the gloves? Yeah. Oh my, gee, do you mean, what would have happened to me if you didn't change your gloves or you used those gloves? Wow. Oh my. So then he puts on the gloves, the new gloves, after he shuts off the alarm and after everybody goes back to their stations. Because now I'm a terrorist, right? Because the alarm went off. Well, he puts on the new gloves, and I said, well, can you test those gloves before you go any further? Takes the gloves off, gets a new pair of gloves, puts the new pair of gloves unused in the machine, and it's good. The alarm doesn't go off. I go, okay, I feel a lot better. So then he puts the gloves on, and then he gets one of these cotton swab things and pads, and I want him to test that before we start too. So he tests that, and that's okay. Then he uses that with his new gloves that he tested, and then he wipes around my collar, and everything's good. But, Mike, what I'm saying is it was pre-engineered for me to be detained for further examination, investigation, detention, harassment, all pre-engineered. And I would have been maybe even arrested at that point because it was pre-engineered. And I will not let that happen. And they asked me, at one time if I wanted to go into a private room. I said, oh, no, we'll do it right here. Because I really have to pee.
Yep.
I was not going to let them take me into a private room where I could have been exposed to the rubber hose or whatever those guys use. I was not going to let that happen. Mike, what's your response to all of that?
I would go along with you. I say you don't take me anywhere by myself. Everything's against you anyway, because there's nobody in that airport is going to stand up for you. Nobody will. So you are at a big, big disadvantage. I really hate airports. They're way beyond the most dangerous place. When countries are taken over, the first thing they do is take over the airport. A coup or an invasion, it always starts at the airport. A lot of shootings are done in airports. When they're rebels, I talked about rebels earlier, they shoot up the airports. Nothing good is going going on at the airport other than you're getting on the plane and leaving. And it's not a good thing. And remember, all their procedures, everything is set up for their protection, not the people's. You're funneled like cattle. You're kept in areas, like I say, like your what do you call them when you're feeding your cows in the pens?
The corral?
Corrals, yeah. Everything is like that. You see a corral and you see a runway going to the next corral. It's all like that. And and like I say, you're under total control, and they make the rules. And remember also, you're talking like that, you're not an American citizen until after you get past immigration. Yeah, immigration. Then they say you're an American citizen. So just because you have the passport and all that stuff, that's not. They have to okay it. And so you're not legally in the United States until you get past them. So that's another scary part, because I'm always concerned because I go to all these weird places, and they do have containment places. Guantanamo Bay, everybody knows that one. But I think it's in Poland. They've got places over there too. And a lot of times, if they can get you before you get past the immigration, then you might get on another flight. They're going to put you on another flight. You're going to have trouble. So it's not a pretty thing, and there's no way you're going to get out of it. I've thought about it a lot, and there's no way. Matter of fact, they've got me, not the U.S. government, but Cuba. They got me in Cuba, and they got me in Guatemala both times after I arrived. And like I say, you're at their mercy. It's not a good thing. I've got ways to get out of it, but most people don't. And you are in a difficult situation when that happens, and it happens a lot.
Mike, you mentioned, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you were saying something about if you're in one of these situations at the airport, no one is going to help you. No one is going to come to your rescue. You're on your own. Is that correct? Because I have a story. Okay. I totally agree with that, and I can prove it. Several years ago, we had an expo in Lebanon, Missouri. And at that expo, we were setting up on a Friday. And the expo was Saturday and Sunday, all day. And Friday we had a seminar by Dr. Richard Allen Miller. And he was in the seminar room in a different area. So all the exhibitors were setting up their booths, and they were bringing in their the things that they were going to display and sell, and so forth. And we were in a 43,000 square foot convention hall in Lebanon, Missouri. Well, during the setup, halfway through the setup, a couple cops came in, canine cops, and they were in the back of the room, and they entered through the back door. They didn't enter through the normal way, coming through the front door, announcing they were there. They just showed up. And so I heard about it. I went over to them, and I had my blue jeans, my dark blue jeans, my combat boots, my tactical belt on, and white long-sleeve shirt, tie, and sports coat, sports jacket. And I went over to them, big smile. I said, "Hey, guys, how's it going?" And they kind of looked at me, and I said, "So what are you doing?" I said, "We're just looking around." I said, "Okay." I said, "I just want to let you guys know that tonight at 6 o'clock, we're going to be having a dinner. And we are going to consecrate the grounds, the entire Civic Center grounds, as sacred Native American grounds. We're going to have a chief here, and he's going to consecrate the grounds during our dinner. We're going to have about 300 people for dinner. And you guys cannot be here in uniform after that. Now, you're welcome to come out of uniform and off duty, but not on duty, not in uniform. by treaty with the federal government. They were so outraged at what I said. It's like they puffed out their chests like, we're the cops. Who do you think you are telling us what we're going to do and what we're not going to do? They were really, really angry. And, you know, they were posturing and the body language was all, you know, tough guy stuff on their part. And I'm just, you know, it's me against them, right? Me against two cops. And what happened was ultimately they left. And there was an exhibitor right next to us. I mean, within 10 feet. There were exhibitors all around. There were people walking past, looking at me. You could see the body language was tense. Okay? It was not good. And after the cops left, the exhibitor said, wow, you don't back down, do you? I said, no. But that's not the point. The point is, nobody came to help me. Nobody. It was just me. And these are people I know. These are preppers. I'm still livid about it. A bunch of pansies. You weren't there, Mike, or you would have been with me. NoStressMike.com. NoStressMike.com. Mike, your reaction to what I said about what happened to me in Lebanon, Missouri at the convention, the USA Prepares Get Prepared Expo, a 3-day event in Lebanon, Missouri, where I was by myself. No one came to help me, just me. Why is that?
Most of what we do in the 3-man militia setup is psychological. Just about all of it is that. And it gets confidence. You're learning stuff. You're learning to work with others, stuff like that. Now, that's exactly what they did to you. You said there was two that came into you, correct?
That's right. 2 K-9 guys, yes. Police cars outside.
One person, well, I teach being courtesy, using courtesy. You should have, if you would have had one standing next to you, they didn't have to say nothing, just be with you. That would have changed the whole atmosphere, just at one. If 3 would be there, then that would change it more negative. And I say 3-man militia setup is we will meet whatever, like if you bring, you're walking up and you have 20 people, we would do maximum 3. And the reason is we've got backup taking care of the flanks. So, and of the 3, only 1 steps up in front of the 3 to do the talking. Using courtesy, they would do the same. Leave their 20 back there. 3 would come up, and then 2 would sit, and then 1 would come, so you'd be talking one-on-one. You want to keep things equal to keep the intimidation and the tension and stuff down. And because, like I say, we want to get along. Now, if I'm stepping up with 1 and you come up with, 6, well, we were talked about morals, and, now I'm going to be asking you some questions to try to figure out if this is going to be a shooting event or is this going to be a social event. So, but like I say, that's what you have to remember. It's the psychological part is what you're doing. And stepping up, a lot of times you just let 1 do the talking. You just need to be there close to them. And sometimes close, sometimes not too close. Like I say, equal. If they were both next to each other, then you need somebody next to you. If 1 stood back, then you need 1 standing back from you. And that's the appropriate way you don't want trouble, and you want to show you're not weak. That's the way you would do it.
Mike, I have this vision in my head. These 2 cops are facing me, okay? And so we're forming a triangle. Now, I have this vision in my mind that if you came and saw this, you'd walk up, not run, just walk up, and you would walk up next to me and then take 1 step back. Is that correct? Is that the right image I have?
Yes. Depending on how close everybody is, it'll be 1 step or maybe a half a step. Because they have to. You want to be equal. And I see what they did is they flanked you. That's really what they did when there's two of them, because they both can't be directly in front of you. So one's flanking, or if they got put you in the middle, well, then they had you on a total flank. That's not being courtesy at all. And it's threatening, a matter of fact. And if it was done in the dark street, you know, that wouldn't even happen. You know that. You wouldn't allow that to happen like that. So the numbers and the way people stand. Now, on what we do on the three-man militia, we call it a meet and greet group. And that's what you did. You're the one that does the talking. Nobody else. And these other two will be masked in a meet and greet. And the reason is they're not really involved in this thing. They're just kind of moral support for me as I stand up there. Because the others that I'm standing against may not be courteous. They might come up with me with 6 or 8, 10 people. Well, that's okay. I'm not going to back down. But those two behind me, they know they're waiting for instruction from me. Body language again.
Plus, I want you to pay strict attention to what you heard today. And that is, at no time did we cause any of this. At no time was Mike looking for a fight. At no time was I looking for a fight, nor confrontation. These people came up to us and caused us problems. That's what happened. And all we have done is react. Mike, would you consider coming back next Friday? Let me know if your plans work out, and I'll let the class know.
Okay.
Mike Ma.
Sounds good.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being with us.